Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott MacKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, and thank you for your continued support of the #1 industrial-related podcast in the universe that celebrates industry professionals all around the world. You're bold, brave, you dare greatly, you innovate, you are changing lives, and therefore you are changing the world. By the way, Cisco, the #1 industrial-related podcast is all backed up by data. Just FYI. Data.
Good to know.
Yeah, good to know. There it is. And we are broadcasting on site. Accruent Insights is the event. We are in San Antonio, and it is, boy, I'll tell you, there's just a lot of people just solving problems and having conversations, and it's exciting. We have somebody. Cisco Sara is in the hot seat. RedEye is the product, and we're just going to dive deep into the RedEye product and see what that's all about, okay? Let's make that happen. All right, Cisco. Having a good conference?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely the first one.
Yeah, it's my first Accruing Insights. It's been an amazing few days, absolutely jam-packed, and we've had a really engaged group of customers here. So it's been really interesting to talk to them and hear their pain points and see how these products are changing their world.
And I'll tell you, the Buzzy Buzz is all about RedEye. I've had a number of conversations around it, but never really talked to somebody that was from RedEye.
Right. So yeah, you can hear from the accent. I'm from Australia.
Yeah, that's right.
Part of the RedEye team that was acquired.
And that was an Australian product, right?
It was over a decade old. Started by two engineers who spotted a bit of a pain point in the company that they were working for. So they saw it was quite difficult to access the information they need to do their jobs safely and efficiently. And they turned to the market. They thought, we'll find something. We'll be able to recommend a solution to our bosses and, look great. And it just wasn't anything that did what they wanted it to do. Nothing that made it really easy to find information, really easy to access what you need to do your job, which is actually quite interesting because I think it's something it's easy to take for granted. I mean, I know as a marketer, getting access to the information I need, it's not really hard. It's typically there. There's people I can speak to, I can find it. But that's not true everywhere, and it wasn't true for them. So they set about building that solution themselves, and they were able to work with their employer and other companies that they had ties to build that solution and develop it out over the years.
What makes it sort of unique, in a sense? We know that Accruent has Meridian, which is a document management system. Right. I won't go into the details, but what makes RedEye sort of unique and stand out? What was that pain point?
Yeah, so I mean, Meridian and RedEye are similar in many ways and different in many ways. I would say that RedEye's main point of difference is that it's built for collaboration. So from the start point, the most obvious thing is that RedEye doesn't charge per user. So unlike most solutions that have a seat-based pricing model, so you're paying for the number of people that can access the platform, RedEye is an invite everyone, and we have customers that have literally thousands of people accessing the system. So what that means is that you're opening it up to a collaborative platform where that information is democratized. That's the term we use a lot at RedEye, democratizing information. And it's really about freeing some pretty powerful data. So engineering drawings, which is a space that we operate in, this data shouldn't be guarded by the few. It should be out there. There are other teams that need access to it. Obviously, your ops and maintenance, your constructions team, they need access to it to do their roles. But legal needs access, marketing might need access, procurement needs access. And through the other systems, that's difficult because now, if I grant you access, that's going to add a financial implication. That's going to make things expensive. So typically, we have to find workarounds, be that SharePoint or other offline solutions. And now you're introducing an uncontrolled element. So bringing that back to RedEye, the unlimited user licensing means that everyone's in there, everyone's working on the same documents, and the system is designed for that, so it's easy to use, it's easy to find something. We have a Google-like search where we're pulling up documents quite quickly and easily without the user having to be an expert. Actually, as part of this conference today, we had some pretty interesting conversations, and one of the customers I was speaking to, he said, our users shouldn't have to be experts, they should just be able to do their job. And I think that's a strength of RedEye, that you don't have to be an expert. the system will help you do what you need to do. It'll help surface that information for you.
So you said sort of like a Google search engine type, like
Right.
I got a menu bar,
Yeah, so
and I just type in.
So we have this thing in RedEye, we call it a bucket, and it's actually, I'm not sure where the original term comes from, but I like to think of it, it's like literally like you're pouring all your information into this bucket. So whereas normally you'd have someone that's doing a really sophisticated filing structure, and they know how that system works, they know where all the projects are, where all the subfolders are. You don't need that in RedEye, you're just pouring it into the bucket. We have some pretty powerful metadata, which is essentially like tags, and a lot of tags that you don't have to worry about, but they're there. So when you want to find the particular drawing for some pump that you're about to start work on, you don't have to remember, we use this particular naming convention, or this was the drawing number. You can just start writing, the name of the facility that you're at, the pump that you're looking at, and the system will just be like, yep, here's the document. And then we have some other interesting ways of bringing information to you. So we use QR codes. There could actually be a QR code on the asset you're looking at, and you can just scan that and get the document you need. Or you could use GPS, and it can just show you the documents that belong to the area that you're standing in. So there's a number of ways that we've made it really easy for you to find what you need to do your job, which is what it kind of boils down to.
So again, back to I'm the technician. I could just type in anything in a sense. There it is, pump 592,
right?
Pump 9592, and be able to pop that up.
Yep. You might even just remember that the drawing you were working on said something in it, and because RedEye uses OCR, which is optical character recognition, it can read the document, so it'll just pull it based on that. So there's a lot of different ways that the system will help you find that information, and we've seen that have a massive impact on customers who will say, it's taking us up to a day to get information to our users, and then they go through the process of digitizing and cleaning up their documents in RedEye, and then once the search is involved, that's taking minutes now. It's just completely changing their workflow.
So, wow, that's a significant impact.
Right.
If it's taking me that long to get in the old way, get the document that I need, I'm sure there's a safety component. Getting the right document, right information, the current. How do we deal with revisions?
Yeah, so version control is super important. We have customers that use the system to communicate things like, is this power network that I'm about to touch, is it live? Is it isolated? And they do that through the version control in RedEye. So having trust in the information you're looking at is vital. So in RedEye, we have this element we call an artifact. And essentially, you can just think of it as the unique element of all the documents for this entity. So all the revisions, all the duplications, they all belong to this artifact, and RedEye is intelligent enough to understand what the right version is. And we have some workflows and controls around how that process works. So when you're out in the field and you mark up a drawing for a change, that markup is flagged for a revision and it goes through appropriate workflows, but it's not immediately served as the latest version. The latest version is the one that was last approved, and it will remain as the last approved until that has gone through the appropriate channels and has been approved to replace it. So the system is controlling the accuracy of that data.
How do I'm out in the field.
Right.
I get the document. I make some modifications to the built. Like I'm put in another pipe or run another wire, whatever it might be, at that site, and I need to update those, the drawings to get that. How does that workflow happen?
So there's a number of ways that can happen. As a marketer, I love our mobile solution, and I try to communicate that to a lot of our customers. So you can use a tablet with a pen and mark that up, submit it through the workflow. So customers have the opportunity to develop workflows that make sense for their organization. So that might be that the drawing has to go to these 3 people, they have to review it, and then one more person has to check it. Or maybe it's something completely different. But you can define what that workflow is for it to go through review and approval. But you've also got a lot of people who the iPad, the phone, they're just not appropriate for the field. They prefer paper. So RedEye has solutions for that as well. All of our drawings that you print out of RedEye feature QR codes. So the team can mark up as they would have normally on a traditional document. They can scan their QR code to check it's still the accurate version of the drawing before they mark it up. And then there's an email address that they can just scan and submit that off, and it goes through the same approval workflow. Or they could just scan and upload it later on if they wanted to do that. So there's a number of different ways you can get information in, but the end result is a drawing is marked up through one of many methods, and then it's controlled through to approval.
How do you prevent, let's say, what we term pencil whipping? Like, I'm out there, I pull the document, I make modifications, but then I don't update the drawing to reflect what is built, modified. Is there a way of being to ensure that everything is properly updated?
Yeah, so there's controls in ways that the document is done, but if it's not done to your standard, then the approver will typically reject it. So they've got the ability to, and we were just showcasing this earlier today, but as part of the workflow, you can utilize our markup tool. So the approver might circle the area that hasn't been done correctly, and then they can reject it back and say, no, these are the reasons why the document hasn't been done right and it needs to be done again.
Yeah, where do you see it going? Like, what? I mean, this is all great and wonderful,
right?
And now that you're part of the Accruent family, where do you see it going?
So, I mean, the opportunity with Accruent is huge. RedEye had a very successful 12 years growing, and we've reached global as a company. I say we, but of course it's now part of Accruent. But the product has reached a global audience of its own, but it needed really that support of a company like Accruent. And I think what Accruent brings to the RedEye product is multifaceted. One, there's a number of sister products as part of that asset management suite. So we've recently integrated with Maintenance Connection, which is a CMMS solution offered by Accruent. And that's immediately offering our customers the ability to introduce preventative maintenance into their workflows and have a system that talks to each other rather than having these silos. And I see that a lot in this industry, that everyone has a different system for a different part of the process, and all that data is broken. So Accruent is offering the ability for customers to have one experience, one centralized workflow. And then there's, of course, the learnings and the power of an organization like this that's just going to help mature the solution. But in terms of where it could go in the future, there's a lot of interesting conversations right now, and AI is forming a strong part of that. One of the biggest challenges that customers typically have as part of like digitizing their documents is that process of, like, how do you find all the information you need? How do you get it into a format that's appropriate for any EDMS? And not all solutions offer good data cleanup tools. And then how do you keep that data clean moving forward? So RedEye currently has good solutions in terms of folding data into unique records and cleaning things up and duplicating. But how do we make that information more relevant, more useful in the future? And I think that's where things like AI can really step in terms of understanding this document is usually related with these other related documents. So you should probably be uploading the operation manuals for this particular solution. You've missed that step. Or back to your point about before about making sure that things are done correctly, it could flag that the markup is missing something, or the markup has an error in it. So there's a lot of validation that we can do. There's a lot of recommendations that we can do as well, like telling customers typically users that have this data set are also doing this with it, or interpreting the information you have. You've got a lot of records on this, and with that information you could be doing that. So it's a very large space, and it's something we're exploring, particularly around that recommendation side, and I'm really interested to see where it's going to go.
I know we talk about here at Accruent connected, sort of the connected solution model. How difficult is it to take a company and say, okay, here's RedEye, you got all these documents, let's tackle it and
right.
get it, to the point where we can leverage?
Yeah, I mean, on paper it's not hard, right? We're going to digitize your documents, we're going to put them into RedEye, and then job done. But that initial process, it can be hard. It depends on the health of an organization's data. So if they have good documents and they're all relatively new documents, and that's a lot easier. We've worked with customers that have had documents from like the 1800s that need to be digitized, and they typically can be a bit deteriorated and things like that. So there can be complexities to the process, but either way, there hasn't been a challenge that we haven't been able to help customers through. So there's always a personalised approach in terms of helping customers be onboarded onto the solution, helping them get their data in line and into a state that can be ingested by a system like RedEye. And then from there, it's fine. Once it's in the system, it's usable, it's valuable to the entire organisation.
Do you provide the training?
Yes, we do provide training, but as a system, RedEye doesn't require a lot of training.
No, no kidding. That's cool. Okay.
It's quite intuitive, and I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that, like I said before, that a lot of steps have been taken into making sure that the system is doing the work for you. It's surfacing the information for you. It's automating the workflows. So there's less thinking involved than maybe some other systems might require. But yes, of course, there's training. We have a strong relationship with our customers that, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that they succeed. So we're working with them throughout the entire process.
All right, Cisco. You dazzled me. How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, look, I'm available on LinkedIn and happy to have a chat with anyone.
There you go, man. I like it. LinkedIn. His contact information will be out on Industrial Talk. He wants to collaborate. He wants to talk to you. Make it happen, Captain. We're all about collaboration on Industrial Talk. All right, we're broadcasting here in San Antonio. It is the Accruent Insight event, and it's been wonderful. Nothing short of wonderful. Great people. Have a very strong desire to collaborate and solve problems. Excellent stuff. All right, stay tuned. We will be right back. All right. That was, hey, I just want to say thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the Industrial Talk family. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Cisco Sara was the gentleman. The product was RedEye, document management system, very cool technology. Yeah, at your fingertips, being able to get those documents to be able to make your job better, deliver better solutions, all of that stuff. Very cool. They're doing it at Accruent. That was Accruent Insights, by the way. That was a great user conference, and it was a user conference. They fed you well, most definitely. All right, year 2025, be a part of the Industrial Talk family. You have a podcast, put it out on Industrial Talk. You have technology, let's talk about it on Industrial Talk. Put it out on Industrial Talk. And if you have a story, if you need to amplify your message, you need to be successful in 2025, Industrial Talk is here for you, industrial juggernaut. All right, be bold, be brave, dare greatly, hang out with Cisco, change the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly.